80 bowl openings, 71 available right now. I know, Trey, you love that.
Does everyone get a trophy? Enough. Get rid of 10, at least 10 of the games. Just get rid of them.
Guys, let me just say, I'm so thankful they let me sit in this chair every single week with my buddies, Trey and Steve. But I'm most thankful this week that Notre Dame is not in the top 4. I cannot wait. Stay tuned for Trey's reaction on that.
And with that, the Blue White Tailgate is next. Hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving weekend. Welcome to the Blue White Tailgate presented by Coors Light. Steve, Trey, Todd, great to have you with us. Let's get rolling. Frankly Speaking is presented by Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships. Brandon Bell played well, but he knows everybody needs to play better.
I mean, it is frustrating. Obviously, that's what they call insanity, you know, repeating the same things over and over again. But, I mean, just got to try to do better each Saturday and practice during the week and correct our mistakes.
And the bottom line is, Trey, little margin for error, thus mistakes become magnified.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you can't, they don't have enough talent, Todd, to where they can really kind of like overcome mistakes and they have no margin of error. And if they can't do that, I mean, they're going to have problems.
Well, you know you get this kind of stuff with young teams, right? They're inconsistent, but you got to add maddeningly inconsistent with this squad. It's not just game to game, it's series to series with the team. So you expect some of this stuff, but in a game like Michigan, it's really, you mentioned it's magnified really is by some of the mistakes that were made out there, because they could have been in that ballgame.
Yeah.
Well, one of the big reasons we're consistent is because of the update desk with Andrew Callista.
Guys, the Penn State Michigan contest delivered a 4.1 overnight rating, the highest rated noon game of the year. The game, though, will be sure to eclipse that this week. Michigan State, Ohio State, though, delivered a season-high rating of 7.0. Comparison, Alabama, LSU, 6.4. SEC, right? And the knuckleheads at the NCAA still don't know what to do with 5 and 7 bowl teams. 71 teams have 6 wins. 17 more can get there. You need 80 teams to fill all the slots. Just get rid of these crappy bowl games. Lombardi, Nagurski, and now Burlsworth Trophy finalist Carl Nassib tried to give it a go, took a cut block on the second play, and that was it. I expect him to try and do it again this week. Connor Cook will be a game-time decision, according to D'Antonio. Glad you all survived Black Friday. Steve, you look good in your new pair of pants, by the way.
Andrew, you know, I thought you'd like that very much. The 5 and 7 thing, though, I know you embrace this. You would love to see.
I just don't understand what they're thinking. I mean, we talked about it in the pregame show. We were talking about the difference between, say, college basketball and college football. I mean, 2/3 of the Division I programs are going to the postseason. I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right, let's get to our drive of the game presented by Stalker Chevrolet, located on the Better Pike across from the Nittany Mall. Drive of the game is right after Penn State scored. It's a great kickoff return by Jordan Lewis. Look how he picks his way through traffic, guys.
He's so patient. He takes his time and he doesn't get ahead of himself.
And then the reverse to J.U. Chesson. They've run this successfully all season long. And they get near the goal line, and Davion Smith up over the top. They retake the lead, and that really is the one that put the game away. Let's get now to, obviously, our Family Clothesline Offensive Player of the Week. What a job Chris Godwin did in the game Saturday. You know, he was matched up against Jordan Lewis all day, but he had a couple of big catches in this game. And, I mean, the pure determination of this guy.
And consistency. 9 of 11 games, he's had at least 4 catches. This was a huge play, 4th down and 10. And it's not just the catch, it's look at the power running afterwards to take it inside the 5.
And he's our Offensive Player of the Week, brought to you by the Family Clothesline. Our Defensive Player of the Week, Brandon Bell. What a game he had. Interception and a fumble recovery for Brandon Bell in this game. Here's the pick. They're playing cover 1 over the middle. Never saw him as he runs it back here to the 40-yard line. Penn State, though, could not take advantage of this takeaway. And here's the fumble recovery. Big hit coming up here. Brandon Bell around the football. He's played at a high level despite being injured all season. He's been banged up. Coming up, big challenge for Penn State. They take on Michigan State. We'll take a look at Sparty and the Nittany Lions as we continue on the Blue White Tailgate presented by Coors Light. Welcome back to Blue White Tailgate presented by Coors Light. Big challenge. Michigan State senior day. A lot to play for. Penn State in the role of spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, I mean, this could really make Penn State's season, and you hear that term, and it's almost overrated all the time, but it really, I mean, it really could make their season if they upset Sparty.
Quite a big challenge. They just beat Brutus and the Buckeyes. 132 yards of total offense. That's not in the first quarter. That's not in the second quarter. That's for the entire game for Ohio State. That is one impressive performance defensively.
All right, let's take a look at it by the numbers. How Penn State matches up with Michigan State, the Penn State offense against that Michigan State defense. Now, oddly enough, all of Michigan State's numbers from a year ago at the same time are actually worse on both sides of the ball, but still rock solid numbers. The question is, how can Penn State move against these guys?
Interesting. They have the points. I mean, we talked about this. They dominated Ohio State, but there's been some teams that have scored 20-plus points on Michigan State as the years went on. So the numbers are a little different. But what does it always come down to, guys? It comes down to how many points that you get on the scoreboard. But Penn State is going to have to score touchdowns in this game to beat them, and they cannot settle for field goals once again like they did against the Wolverines.
There was an old saying around here from a wise old football sage who coached for 46 years, it takes three field goals to beat a touchdown. Michigan lived by that last week. You heard that how many times?
A lot.
Takes 3 field goals to beat a touchdown. All right, so James Franklin, big problem, the Michigan State defensive front.
They're big and physical and long on the defensive line. They are really, really long. 6'5", 6'6", 6'4", big physical guys, juniors and seniors, playmakers, guys that have been making plays there for multiple years.
Dow, outstanding. Thomas, outstanding. They'll tell you Craig Evans had a great game Saturday, but Shalik Calhoun is the guy that gets it done off the edge. He's a tough handle.
Well, he's a physical guy. He's a very, very good player. He's got a great motor. I mean, he's a bigger, stronger version of our Carl Nassib, and he's a really, really good player.
And then, of course, Riley Bullitt, linebacker, really good. They get Darian Hicks back last week. It made a big difference. Geno Lewis is looking up to that one-on-one matchup on the outside.
I feel personally, if DBs want to press and, play man, it's just a better opportunity for, receivers to make plays because it's basically playing one-on-one and you're on an island. So I think it's a great challenge. They have a great defense going on right now. They're coming off a good win. And, we want to come out there and make some plays.
And Hicks, they love that man coverage outside, don't they?
Well, it's at the core of their defensive philosophy. If you look in the NFL, it's sprinkled with Michigan State cornerbacks because they recruit these guys. They love these guys that can handle it, go on an island, one-on-one. It puts a lot of pressure on the offense when they have corners that can play that well.
So let's go into the film room with Andrew Calista and Jay Paterno.
Thanks, guys. We are inside the film room with Coach Jay Paterno, presented by the Penn State Bookstore. Jay, they got us off to a good start, but the Michigan defense, they're going to give the Penn State offense some trouble. Calhoun up front, Bulla, a legacy at linebacker, and in the secondary speaks for itself.
Well, they've had an up-and-down year, but Michigan State always starts on the defensive side of the ball. That's a hallmark of Mark D'Antonio team. So let's take a look at their base defensive front. We're going to take a look at this first slide and show you what their base is. Their base is they're going to have corners that come up and challenge your wideouts. They want to keep the inside 9 consistent with the tight end tackle area. Both those safeties are going to be very aggressive. And what you're going to see here, when that run fake comes, those corners are locked up one-on-one. This safety is going to come up, and you've got to get over the top on play action pass. You'll see when we go to the video here. The safety into the boundary gets very aggressive. The field safety's got to cover him the whole way across the field. Now, when you get into a twin set, so here you've got both wideouts on this side. Again, the one thing about their defensive scheme is they keep the teaching very simple for their secondary linebackers. They have wide defensive ends that want to force all the action inside to the middle linebacker and 2 safeties. And to do that, they do what we call corners over. They take both corners over the side of the field, so the run support is always consistent. They want to keep their corners out of run support. Take a look at how they line up here. We'll look at the video here. Again, you see how wide those defensive ends? Here you have a pass situation, but those ends are up the field. They're going to force everything back inside. When you look at where they are against the outside run game, if you like the jet sweeps like Penn State does, you like the toss sweep, they're going to be very aggressive up front. They're going to get into the backfield. They're going to force here in the jet sweep. They're going to force Michigan's receiver to bow his course. Once you do that and you're retreating on those things, you're in big trouble. We'll take a look at this in the video. You're going to see that that line of scrimmage really moves backwards. Michigan's receivers got to give ground to get ground. And again, here's the toss sweep. Look how many Michigan State guys are in the backfield creating havoc. Now, their pass rush is very good. They like to do a lot of twists. Here they're going to take this linebacker. He's going to work through here. And their goal is to create two levels so that this tackle and guard cannot switch off. They get to the quarterback with four guys quite a bit. So we'll take a look here on this video from the end zone. You're going to see that this linebacker really does a great job. The defensive end comes in. He's able to make that play. Where Penn State can do some really good things Saturday, I believe, is in the pass game. Because in the pass game is where Michigan State's really struggled. They've had 7 different combinations start in the secondary form this year. So I think that's got to be where Penn State makes some hay.
Yeah, Penn State definitely got to hit some balls down the field. Watching the defense play against those sweeps, Penn State struggled against the Wolverine defense trying to get outside with the speed as well.
No question. I think when you look at the matchup, Michigan State, even though they've been banged up the last couple weeks since the Nebraska game, they've really done a great job against the run, and I look forward to a good matchup on Saturday.
Steve, that was Inside the Film Room. Back to you guys.
All right, guys, we're going to flip the field. We're going to take a look at the Penn State defense against the Michigan State offense as we continue with the Blue White Tailgate Show presented by Coors Light after this. Actually, that was Trey after our meeting. That was the miracle in Ann Arbor, and because of that, they have put themselves in a position to get to the Big Ten championship game. You look at what they've done this year, the Michigan State offense. Their numbers are exponentially down from last year, but they've done enough, and they know who they are identity-wise.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that they're so well coached. They don't beat themselves. They're, giveaway, takeaway. They're plus 14, one of the top probably 10 teams in the country, and they know how to win. They have established a winning tradition there, and they know how to get it done.
Trey mentioned the coach. We just had a great discussion about Mark D'Antonio. And, Steve, I know you mentioned his record, 85-32 in his 9th season, but he was 22-17 in the first. Do the math, 63-15 since. So, just a great discussion about D'Antonio and how he's really risen to the top of the college football coaching ranks.
The 22-17, the point I want to make about that is Michigan State had the patience, and they lost their first 4 bowl games under him too. They had the patience to stick with him because they saw something. Patience is at a premium right now. All right? Okay, so now let's get to Troy Reeder. He knows the Nittany Lions need a breakthrough win. He wants it to be this weekend.
I think in terms of what we want to prove, it's just that, a lot of teams question, or a lot of people out there question how high of a level are we capable of playing at. And I think we've done a good job of hanging in some tight games. But, for us, I think it's time that we, like you said, knock off a Power 5 team.
And they need to do that. Now, let's look at the numbers. I talked about the Michigan State defensive numbers being down. Well, the same thing with the offensive numbers for Michigan State. They are not the same as last year. This is how they stack up against that Penn State defense. Trey, in a lot of ways, the Penn State defense, they've hung in games because of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've played hard. They've played fast. They've made some, critical mistakes at times where I think that their tackling in the secondary has been really, really bad. And I think that's going to be a key, one of the keys to the game on Saturday.
We don't know if it's Connor Cook or Tyler O'Connor. My guess is O'Connor, but Aaron Burbridge, this is one of the top receivers in the league. He is the go-to guy every time here.
Well, you see the passing yards for the Nittany Lions, only 167 per game. They better show that they can cover Aaron Burbridge. This guy's 6'1", 208. He's a senior. He knows how to get open. He knows how to get separation. So the question becomes, is it going to be Cook throwing to him, or will it be the backups? They did not throw the ball a lot against Ohio State. Weather had something to do with that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of day it's going to be and what they decide to do with their play calling.
Running back by committee, Holmes, obviously, Delton Williams, L.J. Scott. But you know what? It's the same 5 guys up front blocking every time and tight ends that get their hands dirty every play. That offensive line won that game for them as their defensive front. And Jay Paterno's in the film room with Andrew Calista to talk about it.
Back inside the film room with Coach Jay Paterno, presented by the Penn State Bookstore. Their Spartan offense, they're going to bring it against this Nittany Lion defense. Connor Cook was out last week. Game time decision, according to coaching staff up there. O'Connor and Terry, though, they could throw and run a little bit, but for our sake, Coach, we're just going to pretend that Cook is going to be good to go.
Okay, and I think he will. You know, obviously he didn't see him play last week. And if he does play, it changes the game drastically for Penn State's defense because it really impacts the pass game. Let's take a look at some of the things that they're going to do. Their best receiver, the guy that Penn State's really got to pay attention to, is number 16, Aaron Burbridge. He is a tough matchup. He's probably the best receiver in the conference. Some would argue there are others, but he really is a good receiver. Here they get a matchup one-on-one, a secondary on a safety, and they're going to move him around. So it's going to be, it's kind of a Where's Waldo guy. You got to find him. But take a look here. You'll see he gets on that safety. We go to the video, and you'll see 2 shots of it. Very effective. He gets on that safety, gets up on him, makes a move. There's a nice isolation shot. You see he makes that move, runs right by that safety, and he makes a great catch, adjusts the ball. As good as Michigan secondary was, he caught 9 balls for 132 yards against him. He is a tough matchup. Now, the other thing that Michigan State does, and they've done it all through D'Antonio's tenure there, they give you all kinds of formations, all kinds of matchup problems. Here they're in a straight 3 wide out, 1 tight end, 1 back set. They take the running back out here. He's going to run a corner route and really run interference for this receiver. And again, you got to know where to match people up. So take a look at the video here, and you'll see they create a little bit of a traffic there. That receiver comes up underneath, makes a great play. They got everybody covering the other side of the field. He's isolated one-on-one. And again, those create problems. Nice, easy throws. The other hallmark of Michigan State offense with D'Antonio is power running. Now, they have not been as good running the football this year as they have been in the past. They've been banged up in the offensive line. They've settled that down a little bit. Here is a power counter play where they're going to fake the jet sweep, pull both guards, kick out, and come up underneath, and you're going to see the result here in the video. You see that power, the fake to the jet sweep gets people running. They bring both guards, kick out, and now all of a sudden they're downhill. And they've had 3 running backs, all of whom have rushed for more than 400 yards. So it's a little bit of a tailback by committee. And the other thing you get from Michigan State is they're going to scheme something in the game. They're going to have a gadget play, a trick play. That's another hallmark of Mark D'Antonio. Here's an example where they're going to fake the jet sweep or the pitch up front, fake it to the tailback, actually pull the guard this way to get all those linebackers running. Fullback's going to act like he's blocking on the jet sweep, slip, and get down the sideline. Take a look at the video. And again, as you're watching the game Saturday, know at some point in the game, they're going to have something they pull out of their back pocket like this play to get somebody like a fullback out and make a big play. That's the fun part about playing Michigan State.
Penn State, the defense has to do a lot of things. One thing, I think you got to put pressure on the quarterback. They actually have to tackle better as well. Agree, Coach?
No question. I think third downs are going to be key because Michigan State's top 10 in the country.
When we come back, we close out the Blue-White Tailgate Show with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Welcome back to the Blue-White Tailgate presented by Coors Light. Time now for the good, the bad, and the ugly. I get to start. I get the good. All right. I think what's really great now in college football is that across the country, programs have hired community service directors, and they have the players out doing a lot of community service work across the country. It's been great for them to get involved doing things like that, and on this Thanksgiving weekend, I think that's important.
Bad. Well, I'll tell you what's bad. How about Ezekiel Elliott calling out Urban Meyer, basically saying that he should have carried the ball more and he's leaving and he's not playing for Ohio State anymore, along with Cardale Jones. Hey, guess what? I played for Joe Paterno. If you said anything like that, your ass would be on the bench. You would never see the light of day, and that's what Urban Meyer should do to those guys. That's the bad.
Whew, how about the ugly? Things really coming undone at LSU. They got $15 to $20 million ready to get rid of the entire staff. The same staff that has brought in, or about to bring in, the #1 recruiting class of 2016. They must really be tired of Les Miles.
Trey, I'm confused how you feel. All right, let's get to the college football playoff rankings. Here's the for this week. Clemson, Iowa, Oklahoma, Alabama. Notre Dame 6th.
It's unbelievable. Notre Dame shouldn't be on there. They should have lost to that Boston College team, which is absolutely terrible.
It's the only guy, I think, before the season looks at Notre Dame's schedule, buys 12 shirts.
That's right.
He wears them every week.
They're not going to be in it.
All right, let's get to the games of the week. Florida State, Florida. We'll start with you.
Florida State, Florida, I think that it's going to be a tight game. I think that in the swamp that Florida prevails.
I hate to give Notre Dame Stanford to Todd, but we just feel for the sake of the show, why not?
It's gotten predictable, hasn't it, what Trey's answer is going to be? So we know it, but you'll be happy with this analysis. I think Stanford's going to take it. Notre Dame has really been banged up all year long. I don't think they're going to be able to go out to Palo Alto and take care of Stanford.
It's only appropriate that I give the Bedlam game, Oklahoma State, to Trey.
I'll tell you what, I've been thinking about this game, and I'm thinking, you know what, Oklahoma's playing at a high level, but there's just something about Mike Gundy and his staff. I mean, he's done a great job with those guys. They're playing at home. I think Oklahoma State wins.
They refer to it as the game. It's the undercard, Ohio State, Michigan.
The game. How about Jim Harbaugh being the coach that has shown he's got control of his team and playing a little bit better this time of year in the big house? I like Harbaugh and the Wolverines against Ohio State. I just don't think they're going to put that complete game together this year.
I just want to say on Thanksgiving weekend, thank you, Aarons. All right, keys to the game. Let's get to it. Trey, we'll start with you.
I think the keys to the game are going to be, can we make a big play in special teams? Can we convert more than 30% of our third downs because we're one of the worst in the country? And how are we going to tackle in the secondary?
Christian Hackenberg's had a lot of success going deep. I think the short passing game is going to be very, very important. He's going to have a higher completion percentage to keep those chains moving against Michigan State.
Good special teams play has to be there. Have to minimize mistakes. Giveaway, takeaway is going to be very important in this one. Don't have to play a perfect game, but can't shoot yourself in the foot either. Hey, hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. For Todd, Trey, Jay, Andrew, I'm Steve Jones. Thanks for joining us in the Blue White Tailgate.